If you're a weak person like me, you can handle this meal. Hey there, welcome back to our channel. If you are new here, my name is Emily. Welcome to Limabean Living. I hope that you stick around and subscribe. Today, I am going to be making for you guys chicken enchilada casseroles. Now, this is a dish that my mom would usually make like every Easter morning for our brunch. So it was more of like the lunch part of the brunch. But it is delicious. It does take a little bit of prep work if you don't buy shredded cheese, or shredding the chicken, obviously, for this recipe takes a little bit of time. However, I do have a good hack for that. We're just gonna use a hand mixer and we're gonna whip up all of that. I actually cooked my chicken yesterday in the crock pot and I shredded it with the hand mixer yesterday, bagged it up in the proportions or the portion that I needed for today's recipe, and that's in the fridge. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that out. I also shredded some cheese using my food processor. I did that last night as well in preparation. So I'm gonna take you through this recipe. I'm making a double batch today because a lot of the cans that I get for the recipe have enough for a double batch, and I don't like to use half of a can. If that makes sense. So let's go ahead and do that recipe. I'm so excited. We're actually having guests over today, and so that's why I'm putting in the little bit more extra effort than, let's say, my chicken fiesta bowls or the spinach cheese bake even. Those are really easy recipes. If you haven't checked those recipes out, make sure you click the link above. Those are super easy and simple and healthy recipes that you can do, that really anyone can do, honestly, anyone. So let's get started. So I just got out my little basket here. This is actually from another video of mine, how I organize my pantry. I have everything that I need to make this recipe in here, along with ingredients for another recipe. So this is my beef taco skillet and chicken enchilada casserole little basket, and I've taken out just what I need for a double batch. Gone ahead and got my spices ready. As I mentioned, I prepared my chicken and my cheese last night. I also cut up a large onion. The recipe calls for 1 medium onion cut up, and I'm going a little bit less because Juan's not a big fan of onions. So to start, we are going to put 4 tablespoons of oil in this pan and saute the onions. Like I said, I'm doing a double batch today, so I will go ahead and put the recipe for a single batch in the description box below if you want, or you can go ahead and take a screenshot of the double-sided recipe card right now. I find that doing the recipe cards that way makes it a little bit easier sometimes rather than going to the description box below. And you get to see usually my mom's beautiful handwriting. So let's go ahead and saute those onions now. All right, so these guys got a little bit longer to cook and kind of become tender. So that was the first thing to do on the recipe. The next thing is to pretty much add all of these ingredients. So we got our diced tomatoes, our tomato sauce, green chilies, seasoning salt. They called for garlic powder with parsley flakes, but I have them separately, so I'm gonna do that. And then a thing of enchilada mix. And again, double batch. So I'm gonna go ahead and open all these guys up and just get them ready to dump in with the onions. So another cool thing about this recipe is this is the first meal I ever made for Juan, and it was the day that we met each other. So maybe I'll give you guys a little bit of a backstory. We did do a questionnaire a while ago on like how we met. The title of that video was I liked his brother, and that's true. I did like his brother. Juan messaged me on New Year's Eve. He was like, oh, I think you have a nice smile. And the only reason I gave him a chance was because I knew his brother. And at that point, his brother didn't really like me anymore. So I gave Juan a chance and we just started messaging back and forth. At that point, Juan had recently joined the army, and so he was doing all of that. And we must have messaged back and forth a good, like, maybe 2 months until we FaceTimed. And then once we FaceTimed, we didn't finally, like, meet in person for maybe, like, 5 months or 4 months. So we met, I think, in May. And his family was driving out to visit his brother, the one that I originally liked, at ASU, where we were going to school. And Juan came along, and that's when you know, they dropped him off and I planned dinner. So I made this for dinner, and I made carrot cake because I knew that carrot cake was like one of his favorites. So I slaved in the kitchen like all day. I must have been like sweaty and gross, but then I wanted to look nice. So I don't know. There's that little story behind this recipe. So it's a little near and dear to my heart. Little did I know he doesn't really care for olives or onions, and that's kind of in this recipe, so what can you do? All right, so I've put in the tomatoes and the tomato sauce. We're gonna go ahead and get these green chilies in there. Now, I am not a spicy person by any means. Like, I am the weakest person you know. There was one time I went to In-N-Out and took the teeny tiniest bit of a bite of like those little banana peppers, like literally the size of like a sesame seed, okay? It ruined the entire meal for me. I couldn't enjoy any of my fries or anything from In-N-Out that day. I really should have not had it at all, or at least waited until the very end so I had at least enjoyed my whole meal. My point, I guess, is these chilies do not make it spicy. They do add a lot of flavor or whatever, but like if you're a weak person like me, you can handle this meal, okay? Just throwing that out there. So we got the green chilies in now. We're gonna go throw in the enchilada mix. And like aside from the prepping, you guys, this recipe is pretty easy. As you're seeing, like I'm pretty much dumping and going. It did make it easier, obviously, that I prepared it ahead of time, but that's a good thing to know if, you know, you have the time in the evening and you can prepare something like this. The other thing I want to mention is I'm actually not going to be baking this in the oven until we are ready to eat it. So obviously there's some cooking going on, and honestly everything's cooked. The chicken's cooked. I could eat all of this raw right now. So keep that in mind. But I'm just preparing this the way that, you know, the recipe calls for. But after I add in the rest of the ingredients here, I'm going to be assembling this little chicken enchilada casserole thing, and then that would go in the oven. Well, I don't want to eat it right away. It's only 2:58 right now, and we're not having guests until later, so I'm just going to prepare everything, put it in the casserole dish, and throw it in the refrigerator until I am ready to bake it. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I want to say my mom will prepare all this and then freeze it unbaked, and like as she's preparing for her Easter gathering where she makes tons of delicious food, so you can't obviously do it the day of, and she'll prepare this and then she just takes it out that day and it's already like assembled and everything, and you just throw it in the oven, and it is, like I said, it's delicious. So a lot of things that will make your life easier with this recipe, even though it is a little bit more elaborate than the recipes that I normally make. All right, so I'm gonna do a half of a teaspoon of garlic powder with like a sprinkle of parsley. Again, double batch. Sprinkle these guys in. And then we're gonna go ahead and do 1 teaspoon of seasoned salt. And we're gonna throw in the chicken in here and gonna let it simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix this all up and then add in the chicken. It is going to be quite a full pan, so I wouldn't recommend doing a triple batch or anything like that. We are gonna have a lot of leftovers, but it freezes well. I've had it frozen to defrosted after it's been baked, and it is delicious, so no need to worry about having leftovers. All right, so we got this going. It's just on low right now, and I'm just gonna go ahead and cover this, and I'm gonna let it simmer for 15 to 20 minutes, although honestly I probably could take it out now and assemble the enchiladas now since it's going into the fridge, but I'm gonna let it simmer while I go get Aubrey up from her nap. All right guys, so I have little Aubrey joining me now, so if you hear her, that's what's going on. But this has been simmering for a little while. I'm okay kind of turning off the heat. Everything's already cooked anyways. It's gonna cook in the oven, so that'll be fine. So what we're going to do is I'm gonna grease a casserole dish and place some corn tortillas on the bottom. And then I'm gonna pour some of the sauce mixture, spread out some of the cheese, and then put some olives that are cut up. I got whole olives, so I have to cut them up. Woohoo. But they are cheaper, so I don't really mind doing it. It's kind of therapeutic for me. So I'm gonna first cut up these olives, and then I'm going to go ahead and assemble this casserole dish. All right, so this one is assembled and it's all ready to go in the oven whenever I'm ready to cook it. And we still have some leftovers, again, because we're doing a double batch. And this little casserole dish is gonna be for Juan. Don't mind my bad nails. I need to get a manicure. Anyway, so this little one is gonna be for Juan, and I'm not gonna put any olives in it because he's not a fan. Okay, so I've gone ahead and prepared these. On this specific day, I'm not baking these right away. That's why I have the little plastic wrap on them. But they are all ready to go in the oven. I forgot to mention that I used Monterey Jack cheese. It's listed below, like I mentioned, but I didn't say it in the video. And Juan's not a fan of olives, so I sprinkled some extra Fiesta blend cheese because we kind of ran out. But anyways, when we are ready to bake these, I'm gonna throw them in a 325-degree oven for about 30 to 40 minutes until the top gets golden brown. Aubrey's excited to eat it too. We're checking on these now. They look pretty good. This is ridiculous though, you guys. My oven little knob is set to under 300 degrees. And I don't know if you can see, it's showing up at like 375. Ay, ay, ay. All right, well, like I said, everything's already cooked and whatnot. So I'm gonna turn down that temperature and just kind of let it keep baking in there. All right, these bad boys are ready to come out. Ta-da. And that's it. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you in the next one. You've made it to the end of the video. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, you may just want to, because we want to give you a $10 Starbucks gift card. But first, two things need to happen. We are obviously new YouTubers, and we would love to reach our current goal of 500 subscribers. So the first thing that needs to happen is we need to reach that 500th subscriber. We also want to encourage you guys to comment something that you liked down below using the hashtag GetLBL500. So once we get at least 50 comments somewhere in our channel using that hashtag, we will go ahead and post a video with the Starbucks card information. So you want to make sure that you are subscribed and click that notification bell so you can be the first person to see that video. If you didn't know already, my name is Emily from Limabean Living. Welcome, we are so happy to have you. We post videos every Monday and Friday on a variety of content: lifestyle, cooking, cleaning, military life, DIYs, encouraging mathematical development in children, and so much more. Thank you so much again for watching, and until next time.